Hey guys, welcome back. It is vlog number 6. Can you believe it? So today I kind of want to get into a little bit of color theory. Now on Digital Photography Cafe show, episode 215, we talked about color theory. We talked about the PRT, which is the photo reference tool that I created, and it has been completely refreshed and updated. And people had a lot of questions. They had questions on color, color theory, why I do certain things, how I do it, and all this stuff. And I want to just kind of get into it just a little bit that I couldn't do on the show. It was just time doesn't permit. So as far as color goes and the PRT, one of the questions was, yeah, you have a gray card. Why don't you just use a gray card on this side? And why would you use your dual access color control on the back side? And what's the purpose? And that kind of goes back into color theory. The reason why we do it, and the reason why I designed this and took literally 4 or 5 months of processing here to be able to get these colors just right and the percentages just right, is because when we do a gray card and we shoot a gray card in the scene, what will happen is we'll go and use our eyedropper and we'll click on the gray card to neutralize the image. The problem is the image becomes neutral. It becomes too neutral. It becomes sterile, stagnant. It has like that, let's say a doctor's office look. We don't want that. We don't want our models to look like that. We don't want our brides to look that. We just don't want pictures to look like that. Pictures really need to represent the mood of the image that you're taking. So maybe it's a little extra green, or maybe it's a little yellow, or maybe it's a little magenta, whatever it is, but pushing in those different degrees, pushing in those different areas will give you a different feel to the image. And that's what's important, right? So the idea here is this will get you, the gray card will get you to the baseline. But what in the past, what a lot of us will do is once we get this neutralized color and we say, well, it's a little too neutral, we want to make it slightly warm, we'll take our slider and just move it to the right and now add yellow. It's okay because now you warmed it up slightly, but for example, with a model, if you look closely now, the whites of her eyes just turned yellow. She looks jaundiced. You don't want that. Also, in a wedding type of situation, all of a sudden the white dress turns a little slightly off-white, and the bride's like, yeah, that's not the color of my dress. My dress was pure white. So that's not the proper way to actually neutralize an image, and that's why I designed the PRT's dual access color control in the back. What happens here is not only does it deal with the blue and yellow side of the axis, but it also deals with the other side, which is magenta to green. So the images end up looking so much better, so much more authentic, so much more real to what the situation was. Now, color is obviously subjective. You look at it and you say, well, this is what it looked like. Well, were my eyes playing a game with me? Is that really what it looks like? Like food photographers, they really need to make sure that their color is right. Eyes are different. One of my eyes are slightly more yellow than the other eye. The other eye will see things slightly more on a blue type of tinge or tint. So the idea here is in post-production, we can go ahead and use these swatches to either warm or cool an image, but doing it properly by taking into account all 4 colors, blue to yellow as well as magenta to green. I figured I'd give you a couple of tips this week because the people that were asking about color, they really are having a hard time understanding what I'm speaking about when it comes to colors. So I'm going to give you an example. Trevor on the show, he was talking about people that do, for example, color grading or people that do color all day long. These guys are usually in the bottom basements, in the bowels of company buildings where there's not a single light that's coming in from outside. There's no windows. Everything is generic, let's say 50, 200 Kelvin white light in the room. Everything's sterile. Why is that? Well, like I said, eyes are different. Once we calibrate our eyes by being in a situation with specific light, the eyes calibrate themselves to that look. A perfect example is if you're looking at something purple for a long period of time and staring at it and then look away at a white wall, what do we see? We see yellow, right? The same object, but in yellow, the complementary color. Well, this is the type of theory that went into creating the PRT's dual access color control. It is those complementary colors that when married together neutralize, but do it equally and do it in a balanced state, right? Here's a tip. Just like those guys that are in the bowels, what they do and what we should do as photographers in post-production is make sure that your monitor is set for a background of neutral gray, right? Not for the Transformers or your friendly superhero, you know, or some explosion or something like that. Even though those are cool backgrounds, what happens is when you're doing edits in Photoshop, the side of your eyes or whatever is seeing that color is actually messing with your eye and seeing color slightly different. To fix that is you want to be in a room that has very similar light and your background needs to be gray, period. Just simply gray. It works out the best. And that includes, let's say if you're using Lightroom or using Aftershot Pro 3, or you're using anything for doing those color, original color stamping, right? Where we're doing that calibration at the very beginning at post-production as we're bringing them in. That color needs to be done in that light. So let's say if you're in Aftershot or if you're in Lightroom, what you want to do is you want to set it up like a dark room. You want to set it up with the lights out, so to speak, so that picture that you're seeing, nothing around it is pure white. Nothing around it more. You need something that's a little bit more neutral, more gray, so your eyes can relax and see the color and see the tonality for adjusting for the blacks and whites. So that's kind of like a little tip. Number one, as far as getting color right and getting your eyes situated so that you can see the color properly. The next tip comes into the fact of one person said, hey, you know, how do I fix a burn? I have, you know, models, they come in here. I swear I tell them all the time, you're coming in for a photo shoot or you're coming in here for a portrait. Please do not go in the sun the day before. Don't do it, please, right? In post-production, it makes my life miserable because I have to put in so much time in trying to neutralize your skin. Do they ever listen? If you've been doing this as long as I have, they don't listen, right? And that's just the way it is, right? And this is what they were bringing up. And the question was, how do I fix that? Well, many of us will later on go and they'll take the skin and we'll look at the skin. We'll go into either Lightroom or Aftershot, or we'll go into Photoshop and we'll go and we'll try to reduce possibly the saturation or the vibrancy. And now we get like this awful milky skin that doesn't look right. That's not how you do it, guys. How you do it is the same way I designed this card. How you do it is you use an exact complementary color to what you have. So if the person is very light-skinned, a Caucasian with like almost pinky skin, well, chances are their burn is going to be very red, very magenta. If you add green to that skin, using, let's say, a paintbrush, and add slowly green to that skin, where you added green, the sunburn will miraculously disappear, right? Back to color theory. Very, very simple. So that's kind of like tip number 2 for you today. It's a way to be able to neutralize skin for problems, for problematic areas. Perfect example is you have a client that has rosacea. Same exact principle, add green, right? It's that whole idea. You have people that have extreme, they look very jaundiced, they're very yellow, right? They're almost over yellow. Add purple to their skin. It doesn't sound like it makes sense, but it's just back simply to color theory. So anyways, I hope that answers a few of your questions, and it answers also the PRT on why and what and how I designed it and for what reason. Once again, in the future, if you're shooting a scene or if you're shooting a wedding, don't shoot the wedding without a gray card. At minimal, have a gray card with you. This way, in post-production, you have something to click on to be able to get that color right. It's very important. What would be even easier is shoot the backside of a PRT, for example, and now you can dial in color exactly how you want it, and then go copy that specific color, that specific Kelvin, over across 200, 300, 400, 1,000 images, all in that same lighting situation, all in that same place, and you have perfect color every single time without all of the added time that goes into image by image by image trying to get that color right. Don't do it, guys. Grab one of these cards or grab a gray card at minimal. So I hope that helps. So if you got something out of it, please give me a thumbs up. I would really, really appreciate it. I thank you for all of your support. It's fantastic. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. You can go below, subscribe to the channel, and anytime I come up with some kind of new content, you will get it first. So that's it, guys. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.